Did it, ay, 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 did it, ay, 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 excellent. Did it, It's a warm up for the Kiddush that's coming this Shabbos. L'chaim, l'chaim. Yom Kotzev, Amalochem Meruba. Tonight is a special night. It's Zach Shona for Chov Zayin Adar. 27 years for the day of 27 in Adar. If you look, and anyone that remembers the mood, it felt like the Rebbe was trying to do something heavenly. It was clear in the sichas the whole month that the Rebbe was saying, if we can just make through this month, Mashiach is here. Wow. If we just, the Rebbe, there was, I mentioned it a few times when Nebuch, there was a woman, Mrs. Lapine, was killed on Kiddush Hashem. The Rebbe said, we tried whatever we could to overcome all obstacles through simcha. In other words, the Rebbe's big thing, defense, was always simcha. And the Rebbe said, we tried every obstacle to overcome through simcha. It was clear that the Rebbe felt, if we can just have enough simcha and get through Adar, because it's a very unusual thing, B'chal and Torah, especially in Chassidus, and every Chassidus, every Yom Tov, Rosh Hashanah, the biggest. Everything else is nothing. Yom Kippur, Achaz B'Shana. You get to Purim, it's Kippurim. Yom Kippur is only make-believe Purim. Purim is the real thing. Every Yom Tov, that day is the biggest day. And that year, Adar, the Rebbe spoke the whole Ma'ila Adar B'Morim Hashem, and then the Rebbe said, but the Adar is still in the sky. The main thing is Nisan. And it's 60 days of Ishtoikikus from Nisan. It was very unusual for the Rebbe to say such thing. Talking about the Ma'ila of Adar, and the Rebbe was talking about the main thing is Nisan. The Rebbe tried to, because through Simcha, how does it work? One of my best, mamish, all-time best stories from the Bitcha Masmet. He said that once the Reb Nochem of Chernobyl, I tell you, it's the best story. The Reb Nochem of Chernobyl came to town, there was a fabris, and then there was some cake and lekach. He said, that's the way you make for it. They said, Nebuch, the parents are very poor and they can't afford it. He said, afford it, shmord it. What does it cost? So he took out his wallet and he put the money down on the table. He said, who else wants to sponsor? There was plenty of money on the table. And they went and they bought Kol Tuvselo. And Reb Nochem took a lot of l'chaim at the Suda. And he said, I want to tell you a story. There was one year that they measured Rosh Hashanah, the mitzvahs and the Avedas, and it really didn't look good. The Avedas were really heavy, and the mitzvahs were quite light. And the Samach Mem was already rubbing his hands with pleasure. Malach Michal came along and said, listen. So, a very simple thing. I want to ask you a simple thing. This is the Bezdin Shal Maila. You see, when a Yid has a fabrengen, right away brings mashka, l'chaim, cake. A Yid make a siyum mesechte. They bring chicken and meat and wine. Make a suda mitzvah. When was the last time you saw that a Yid made an Aveda? Never. And he called all his friends for a big Kiddush? Never happened. So the Avedas, he said, are very light. Every Yid feels terrible about the Aveda. And every mitzvah he does is heavy, because he's very besimcha when he does the mitzvah. But he makes a simcha shel mitzvah. And when he said that, Taina was so strong, the Bezdin Shal Maila decided that they have to weigh everything totally differently. And there was everything changed. That's why the Samach Mem has a name. Samel. Sof Mem Aleph Lamed. He said the Rosh Tevis is like this. Sudas Mila, ein lasses. Sudas Mitzvah, ein lasses. Siyum Mesechta, ein lasses. He puts everything his koiches in. From then on, he puts in all his koiches. The Yidden shouldn't make a fabrengen. Nah, don't make a fabrengen. You have to make a big siyum, and you made a siyum mesechta. You have to make a whole thing to call everyone and make a big thing. You have to go with your wife to a restaurant because you finished the pesach mesechta. You have to make a whole party and invite your friends. That's his big thing.
His name also Sam.
That's a separate. But besides that, Samach Mem. There's a lot of Svarim talk about Samach Mem, why he's called Samach Mem. But there's also Svarim talk about why his name is Samach Mem Aleph Lamed. And for that, Rabbi Nachum Chernobyl, he said, Siyum Mesechta ein lasses, Sudas Mila ein lasses, Sudas Mitzvah ein lasses. That's not to make. They say there's a story about the Alter Rebbe that once there was a group of people in the town that became his chassidim. And there was a group, they were all grandchildren from one of the very choshev lamdonim. And they're trying to talk to their grandfather about Chassidus. And hey, he was busy, he's learning his Gemara and his Rashi and his Rishonim. Don't bother me. So they asked the Alter Rebbe, what should they do? Maybe he's talking true, he's an old man, he's so old. And let him, they say, well, look, so the Alter Rebbe said, there's one important shaila. Does he have simcha shel mitzvah? Could you describe something where you see, they said, oh, absolutely. For example, they said, even though he's old and frail, but we build a sukkah for him, for example. When we finish, he goes in, he stands on a bench, and he kisses the wall with such a chayas, such a happiness. He has a lot of simcha in all the mitzvahs he does. Alter Rebbe says, don't bother him. Don't bother him. Never mind. Never mind. You guys keep on learning chassidus. Don't bother him. He doesn't need it. He's good. If he's already an old man, and he's set in his way, but he has simcha shel mitzvah, don't worry. And there is a beautiful book, very popular book, it's translated in English from Rabbi Zevin. It's called Sipurim ala Parsha. It's really a worthwhile book to have. It's mamish worthwhile to have. In Parshas Vayigash, she has a story from Reb Shloime Achoset, Reb Shloime of the city of Darhut. So he came and he told his friends, he said, last night I was learning late at night and I had a candle on, and all of a sudden I saw someone sitting next to me and learning. I got into a pachet, I blew out the candle, and I ran into my bedroom and I climbed into bed and I went to sleep. They said, are you crazy? Maybe it was a Elihav Navi. You blew out the candle, you ran away. It was a Elihav Navi. Came to learn Torah with you. My friends, let me tell you something. This guy looked depressed. He was no simcha on his face. It's impossible that was Eliyahu Navi. Impossible. Eliyahu Navi has to be besimcha. The Frierdiker Rebbe, when he came to America, one of the first Fabrengens, he said a story like this. That there was once in the city, I forget which city, it was one of the Chassidish cities. There was two Yidden. One who was named, but it was Rabbi Yosef. He was from the intelligentsia. He was from the big maskilim Chabad. And one was a Malamed. His name was Rabbi Avram Malamed. Very happy person. The Malamed was a really happy man. And Rabbi Yosef was always like very deep in thought. So once after a davening, when Rabbi Avram started to dance, Rabbi Yosef says, what are you so happy? You're always so happy. What are you so happy about? So the Malamed says to Rabbi Yosef, and what's with you? You're always so serious. You're thinking, you're thinking, you're thinking. What are you thinking? You're never getting to the bottom of it. It's simple. It's mole kol ha'oretz kevoidoi. Memela, I'm happy because the Eibush is everywhere. Let's dance. That's the attitude that Rebbe wants us to have, and simcha. Because simcha, Chassidim said, it says kiva simcha teitzeil. And the Chassidim explained that what's the pshat? That if a person is in tzoros and he has a difficult thing in life, how do you krich out? How do you get out of your situation? B'simcha. B'simcha teitzeil. That goes well with the Chassidish word. That how is Ma'arbim? How do we increase in good stuff? B'simcha, through simcha.
Which nigun the Rebbe is saying when he finished for bringing?
Keep b'simcha. Keep b'simcha. Exactly. So the first thing is l'chaim, that we should make a firm thing that the Rebbe wanted very much simcha, that we should have simcha and share simcha and give off simcha. L'chaim, l'chaim. I find a fascinating thing that if you look at the very first sicha kimat the Rebbe ever said, and one of the last ones was the same thing. When the Rebbe, they asked him to become Rebbe. Well, before he became Rebbe, the Rebbe said, he didn't say these words, but he said, I want to see, you want me to be Rebbe? I want to try something out. That we have a campaign. I want every person by, I think it was Yutas Kislev or Yud Shvat, to give me, every one of the Chassidim should give me a paper with names of 10 people that they were mekadev a little bit to Yiddishkeit. 10 people. I told the story, yeah, and the cleaners, I told the story, and then afterwards, next day, I was in the mikveh in Crown Heights, someone that was here, Oirach, told me, I married an Einikel from another Chassidish Yid, they married Itkin, and you should know that her grandfather was always arguing with Reb David Askin, because there was one guy there from a cleaners, they were makadev him in Crown Heights, in the corner of Albany and Eastern Parkway, and each one said, but I want to put him on the list. The other one said, no, but I was makadev him, you were makadev him. Anyway, the Rebbe said, I want a list from every chassid, 10 people they were makadev. Never heard again from the Rebbe this. I've never heard anyone point this out, but it's a dvar pella to me. Mamish, the last sicha, one before the last sicha, the Rebbe at the end of Fabrengen a lot of times, especially the last year, used to say, Hayro bepoil. What should we take out? Marching orders. Maisa bepoil, the Rebbe say. Hayro la maisa. What's the Musar Haskell? The Rebbe said, Hayro bepoil, Hakel Pikudi, Vayakel Pikudi, we have to be Meyakel. I want everyone to be Mekadev 10 Yidden. It's an interesting thing. It's a very interesting thing. So David shall helfen that we should have a lot of simcha, and we should spread the simcha to at least 10 yidden. L'chaim, l'chaim. Now let's do a beautiful sicha from the Rebbe on the parshas Pikudi. First, before we even look at the paper, the $1 million question. You expect every meforish to really ask. The longest drag in every parsha. You have the whole Hilchas Nida is in 7 psukim. All Hilchas Mikvahs is not even a one full pasuk. It's about one pasuk. One pasuk. Just about one pasuk. Oh, Mishnais, Mikvahs, and one pasuk. One pasuk. Oh, Baba Kama, Baba Metziyam, Baba Basra. How many psukim do you have for that? A few psukim, parshas Mishpatim, and Kedoshim. I mean, this is, you can count the psukim. And here, Truma Tetzava, okay, so the Eibishter is very, very detailed how to build the Mishkan. But then, Vayakel Pikudi is a repeat. Mamish a repeat. It could say, you could spare yourself. Instead of saying the whole Vayakel Pikudi, the Torah could say, Vayas Kechoyla Sheramar, the Yidden did it. But we find that if the Torah could not say it, it says it's called a Yitud Dvarim, extra words. We find it also in the Mishnah. The Mishnah says everything b'kitzur. If it could have been meramez, and it won't say it befedish. And the same thing we find in the Gemara compared to the Rishonim compared to the Acharonim, and the Acharonim compared to the Poskim. So here it comes that there is the Mishkan. So the Torah tells it us in detail. Okay, Truma, Tetzava, in detail. And Truma mostly about the Kalim. Tetzava mostly about the Begodim. But then, just to repeat everything, how come the Torah repeats everything? So let's just read here 2 medrashim. One is Medrash Rabbah Bamidbar Yud Beis Beis. It's after the Aleph and the Beis here. It says L'Hakim as a Mishkan. Mishkan says to put up the Mishkan. So Medrash Rabbah says in Bamidbar. L'Hakim as a Mishkan when it's in Mishash. Amar Kadosh Baruch L'Yisrael. L'Hakim as a Mishkan. Ramaz L'Malachi Hashodes Shiyasu Afhein Mishkan. When the Eibishter told the Yidden to make the Mishkan, he told the Malachi Hashodes to make a Mishkan. Beis Shukim Lamata, Hukan Lamayla. And when the Yidden made a Mishkan Lamata, there was also in heaven there was built a Mishkan. Who Mishkan Hanar Sheshmoy Matatren Shmoy Makrev Neshmashem Sal Tzadikim Lachapar Al Yisro that over there is this malach called Matatrin, this unbelievable malach called Matatrin, and he brings these korbanos for the Yidden. It says lahokim es hamishkan, not lahokim hamishkan. And every time it says in the Torah es, it's to add something. Like it says like kabin es avicha, for example. So lerabe sachicha godel. Es always to say something else. It says lahokim es hamishkan shemishkan acher ukimim. There was another mishkan together with this. Kadoksiv. There's two mikdash. There's the mikdash lamata, mikdash lamayla. We find in Maimorei Chazal a lot of, Yerushalayim shalmata, Yerushalayim shalmayla, mikdash lamata, mikdash lamayla, mishkan shalamata, mishkan shalamayla. Okay. And then more specifically, how is it built? The mikdash shalamayla, another medrash. Again, this is medrash Rabbi Bamidbar. And this is Yud Parsha Yud Beis Ches. Rabbi Shua the Sichna B'Shem Rabbi Levi Omer B'Shosham Kadosh Baruch Hu L'Moshe Os L'Mikdash Hoyle L'Hamad Arba Kundesim L'Terech Tzemishkin Alein L'Hamad Shirok Kadosh Baruch Hu L'Moshe L'Mayla Eish Aduma Eish Yeruka Eish Choyre Eish Lavona. He showed him a Beis HaMikdash made out of fire, red fire, green fire, black fire, white fire, like a show of light show, colors of fire. Omer Loy Kesavnas Shemara Bahor. This is the tavness of it. This is the tavness of it. Okay, let's stop in this part of the. So here the Rebbe has a moedik about. This is a sicha in Lekuti Sichos Chelek Aleph. It's from the early sichas. They're very straightforward. We would say simple sicha. The Rebbe says like this: if you look in parshas Nosoi, there's a similar phenomenon where the Torah repeats the same thing 12 times. 12 times the Torah repeats the same thing, the karbonos of the Nesiim. The Torah could have said the first Nasi, Karas Kesef Achas, Shloshim Me'em Mishkola Mizik Echet Kesef, Shivim Shekel, V'Shekel Koilas, V'Shneim, V'Leim, the whole thing, and just say, repeat. Just say, the next day it was the same as the first day, and the next day, and all 12 Nesiim said the same thing. And that's why the Medrash goes through everything that the Nesiim brought, and finds a different remez in every one. Why is the Medrash doing that? Because the Medrash is really answering the question. Even though it's Karas Kesef Achas, but the Karas Kesef Achas of the Shevet Yehuda and Shevet Yisachar was not the Karas. It was a different thing. It was Taka, same Karas Kesef Achas, was a different Kavana. And the Alter Rebbe Taka in Torah Or goes through and shows that there's every one of the 12 Nesiim was a totally different Kavana. So it's not repeat. It's not, the Torah can't say, and Yisachar did the same as Yehuda. He didn't do the same. It was the same Karas Kesef, but it was a totally different Kavana.
Well, you have Kavana. You have Kavana to put the korban.
No, everything. This was for Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. This was for everyone was a different Kavana. And therefore the Torah repeats it 12 times. Same thing here. We must say, the reason the Torah repeats it twice is because a totally different Kavana. There were two Mishkanas. What are the two Mishkanas? There's two separate Mishkanas, and that's what the Torah starts. Eila Pikudi ha-Mishkan, Mishkan ha-Eidos. And Rashi asks, why does it say twice Mishkan? And Rashi answers, whatever Rashi answers. That's Al Derech Pshat. And Al Derech, on another level, the Rebbe says there's two Mishkanas. There's the Mishkan Shalamayla and Mishkan Shalamata. Just like the Medrash says, the Mishkan Shalamayla is made with red fire, white fire, blue fire, purple fire. Mishkan Shalamata is made Tchelas Agom Talas Shonim Sheish V'Izim. Yeah, Moshe's these things. So there's two types of Mishkanas. The first was the shown to Moshe Rabbeinu on the mountain. And over there, it's not a Gashmi's dikah, just like the Medrash says. It's made out of fire, which is spiritual. We're talking about, who are we talking about? The Eibush is talking to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is Mivchar Min Anushi. If you're talking Chassidus, Moshe Rabbeinu is called a Neshama Datzilas. Even though every Neshama comes from the Eibush himself, but Neshama, the way it's in this world, comes down from Atzilus into lower worlds. But Moshe Rabbeinu stepped straight out of Atzilus into this world. Not the way we were learning this morning from the straight out of Atzilus into this world. That's who Moshe Rabbeinu is. And not only how was it delivered through a nevuah, even up in Nigla, Moshe Rabbeinu's nevuah, we believe, stands out in two things. One is called on Nevi'im Nesnabu Bekoy, Moshe Nesnaba Bezeh. In other words, like with this finger. Like you see it with absolute clarity. And all the Nevi'im, they are Mismoigigim. They fall apart when they see the Nevuah. Moshe Rabbeinu was not. It was Loikom Kenaviv Kemoshe. There was Amad al Amodoy, the Rambam says. He was standing like you're talking to your friend.
This is why Hashem said, "Zeh yitnu, zeh."
Every time, right? Every time, zeh means clear. And when the Moshe Rabbeinu saw the Eibishter, it was zeh. It was. And where did he get it? It was Hanhar Sinai, which is an unusual thing for a human being to go for 40 days. So that Mishkan was a spiritual Mishkan, not Gashmi's dika gold and silver. It was fire of gold and fire of silver. However, that's the pshat of the Mishkan that's built in Truma and Tetzava. Which Mishkan are we talking about in Vayakal and Pikudi? The second Mishkan. Like the Medrash says, there were two Mishkanas, one that was built in heaven and one that was built in the earth. The one that was built in heaven is built from Tchelas Agama and fire. And one that was built in this world, Tchelas Agama, physical Tchelas Agama, and that's what the Yidden were building. So therefore, the Torah repeats it, because it's not the same thing. We're talking about two different Mishkanas. Mishkan, Mishkan. Mishkan, Mishkan. There's two different Mishkanas we're talking about. However, so you might think the heavenly Mishkan is bigger. Therefore, the Alter Rebbe tells us in Tanya and Perek Lamed Vov, you guys recently learned it, you're hardly now Perek Mem Beis, that the Alter Rebbe says, that Dafka, which Mishkan does the Eibishter want? Dafka in a physical world? Dafka in the Musar Haskell for a Jew is to think that the Rotzna Elyon is not that the castles that the Malochim are building for the Eibishter. Dafke, the Maisa mitzvahs that he does with Nisyonis, that are difficult. And the Yitzhar does not allow us to always be besimcha. It makes it difficult for us. But yet we do a mitzvah with warmth, and we do it varmkeit and hartzekkeit, and that makes v'shachanta b'toichem, and that's what the Eibishter wants. That's the Iker Mishkan. That's what the Iker Shechina is. And those that learn Chassidus know that there's this big maimah from the Rebbe Bossa Lagani, based on his father-in-law's maimah, that Iker Shechina b'tatoinem hoisa, that the diuk in this Maimah Chazal is that Dafke, when the Yid make a mikdash for the Eibush in this world, that's where the Eibush himself, Iker Shechina, Atzmos, the Eibush himself, in heaven there's Geluyim, Hamshaches, Ha'oris, Hashpos, all these spiritual things. But Iker Shechina is Dafke b'tachtoinim when the Yid makes a Mishkan b'tachtoinim. Sagt der Rebbe, that's the diuk in the Pasuk. Eila Pikudi Mishkan, Mishkan Ho'edus. Why is Mishkan Eidus? Again, Rashi asks a question, Rashi answers Api Pshat. But the Rebbe answers like this. What's the Indian of Eidus? Api Din. Eidus, the Gemara says, is something that you might not know. Milza Davida Lagluya, you don't need Eidus. That's why, for example, the Gemara says, Eidus Isha, it's a very strict thing, but they were Mekel. Because it was the guy, she's going to say her husband died. Then eventually, this guy's going to come back, and he's going to say, hello. So they were Mekel. They said because the mitzvah gluya, or for example, the Bezin says we need Adam to see the Kiddush Lavana. However, if they're sitting outside and they see the Lavana, the Gemara says Lo tiyashmiya g'dor l'mediyah. You say you have to have Adis. Why have to have Adis? To know that the moon was when you saw the moon. Oh, no, we have to have Adam. You don't have to have Adam. But the Torah says you have Adam. If you don't know, you need Adam. You're standing outside, you see it. The Bezin doesn't have to have Adam. They just mekadosh the chodesh right away. Eidus, you only need something which is hidden. So, on two levels, Dr. Rebbe. In the heavenly Beis HaMikdash, obviously that's divine. But in this Beis HaMikdash here, that is made out of Tchelas V'Agam and that Gashmizdika stuff, how do I know it's divine? The Eibush sagt Eidus. Eidus L'Yisrael, Shashchina Shoyra B'Yisrael. And another thing, that Dafke in this Mikdash that the Yidden are making, Lamata, that's where the Iker Shechina is. And that's where there's the real Eidus. The one that's in heaven, there is no really Eidus for the Eibush himself. Dafke here is where there's the Eidus. And based on this, there is a beautiful pshat in Yerushalmi. Let's look at the last piece here. Yerushalmi says, Halocha Gimel, in Perek, it's Perek Daled Halocha Gimel Masechus Brochus, which is a shaykhus we just started learning Masechus Brochus in the Bavli. And this is in the Masechus Brochus in Yerushalmi. The last 3 lines on the page. Mishnah Reb Gamliel Omer B'chol Yom Adam Mispalel Shmeineh Esrei. The Gemara asks, and the Gemara gives 3-4 answers. different, a few very straightforward answers. And then came the last answer, it seems very obscure. Bishmo berachmanu shem b'yechnik keneged chai tzavuim shekosav v'parshas mishkan sheni. First of all, what's a mishkan sheni? Where did you ever heard of a first and second mishkan? Because the Medrash, we understand. There's the heavenly mishkan and the mishkan on earth. So it's also an emes to what we're saying, that there's two mishkanas. Mishkan, mishkan ha'edus. Yeah, mishkan sheni, second mishkan. Amar Reb Chia Barva. Wait a minute, he counted all up. And it says this thing that it says tzivuyim, kasher tziva Hashem. He counted. There's 19 times. Me and you were hearing the Yerushalmi, and we trust the Yerushalmi did its job. Reb Chia Barva didn't trust anyone. He went and he counted, and he found 19. He said, "What's going on? You told me there's 18 kasher tziva in parshas Pikudi, and I found 19." So Amar Reb Chia Barva Malvad mean v'oito Elihav ben Achisamach lamata don at sefer the sifra. Take out the posuk, which it says in the posuk right in the beginning that the kashetziv that the Eibush was mitzave Bitzalel, and then it says Elihav in the next posuk. Right? Oh, right. I made sure to bring it down here. Ishkoch. I quoted it right in the beginning. Ubitzalel ben Uri ben Chur lamati Yehoda oza kol asher tziva Hashem es Moshe. And the next pasuk says v'ita Elihav ben Achisamach. That's not counted. Why? Because we need to have 18, not 19. So discount this one. But why not? Why not? And Bichlal, what's the connection? 18 times kasher tziva Hashem and parshas Pikudi to Shmoneser. What's the punta shayches? So the Rebbe is beautiful. Based on what we said, that there's two Bate Mikdoshes, and the Iker Beis HaMikdash is the one that we build with our own Gashmis, Dika stuff. Dida B'tachtoinim is a beautiful answer the Rebbe says. The Nakuda is like this. Tefillah is how we elevate ourselves to the Eibishter. Sulam Motzav Arz, Aretz Geresh Maima, it's Machloikis. The Zohar says that's davening. The Medrash says it's Sinai. So this is both are true. There's a ladder going up. There's a ladder going down. One is Torah. One is the Tefillah. Torah is bringing a Lekuz down. Tefillah is picking the world up. Arza means not Bo'oretz. Arza means the lowest place in the Oretz. Shemaim means the highest place in Shemaim. Deed has to bring the things from the lowest place on earth to the highest place to the Eibishter. Okay, that's the avodah Hashem the Yidden. So this avodah of Tefillah and the avodah of the Mishkan Sheni is identical. Just like the Mishkan Sheni is to take Gashmi's Dika stuff. Ordinary Gashmi's Dika stuff, Tchelas Hagoman and Zohar Kesef, and turn it into Kedusha. The same thing Tefillah is that he takes the lowest things of the world and himself and he elevates it to become Kedusha. So just like in the Mishkan there's 18 Sevuyim, which Mishkan? Mishkan Sheni. There's no Mishkan Sheni. Mishkan Sheni means not the Mishkan of Truma Tetzava, which is the Mishkan in heaven. The Mishkan that's here. So in the Mishkan Sheni, there's 18 Sevuyim. Why don't we count the Pasuk where the Eibusha talks to Bitzalel and Elihav comes in the next Pasuk? The Medrash says, Lo nika shua lifnei dal, that the shua and dal is the same thing. That the in front of the Eibishter, the highest of the high, which is Bitzalel, the biggest yichus from you, and Elihav, which comes from the lowest family, Matadon, doesn't mean the biggest yichus, the lowest guy. When it comes to building the Mishkan, they were all equal. They were all equal. When it comes to building the Mishkan, why? Because when it comes to davening, a Yid has to say Areinu Mekabel Alai Mitzvah, say like that Israel says, and Alter Rebbe brings in the beginning of the Siddur. Because if you're not going to bring, because that's the inyan of bringing Elihav with Bitzalel. When you're trying to build a Mishkan, the only way you're going to build a Mishkan is if you bring Elihav together with Bitzalel. Elihav represents the lowest of the low of all Jews. Very simple family, no one ever heard of him. Matadom, which is traveling in the back. And Bitzalel was the most wise guy, and he's from Mat Yehuda, very big yichus. Dafke, when they're misached, the achdus of Eliyahu and Bitzalel makes a successful Mishkan. The Zobazar, the davening. Dafke, when we eat fields ba'achdus with all Yidden, that makes a successful davening. And not only that, Dafke, when a Yid takes every part of him. Sometimes a person takes the spiritual part of him, or the intellectual part of him. But every part of the Yid
Who
should
was
go in the
Chur?
davening.
Who was Miriam?
Right. Chur was a cousin to Bitzalel. He was in the Bitzalel's family. Elihav was this guy,
Right.
no one ever heard of him.
So Bitzalel was the nephew of Moshe Rabbeinu.
Mishpoch.
Shpacha, yeah.
Well,
so this
Bitzalel,
was
big
the
guy.
guys, Yeah.
Elihav, no one ever heard of him. V'mata done.
And Achisamach.
So when it comes to tefillah, because we're talking about Mishkan Sheni, the Mishkan that's built Lamata, we only count Kashetziva Hashem, not when it's only to Bitzalel. In the first pasuk, it's Bitzalel made it. V'itoi kilu Eliyav is secondary. It
By
says,
the way.
yeah, by the way, oh, that's not counted. Lagabi Mishkan Sheni, Lagabi Tefillah, that's not counted. When in Tefillah, a Yid has to take the highest part of him and the lowest part of him and schlep him up the ladder. And has to take the most choshev Yid and the simple Yid, and they have to climb up together. That's why we're not counting this pasuk. So now we understand what's the shaykhis.
18 and 19.
Altazoi. We understand now the 18. And we understand what's of Shat Yerushalayim Mishkan Sheni. And what's B'chlal, the connection of Tefillah over here. Again, because we're talking, this Mishkan Ishan is the Mishkan in Shamayim. Mishkan Sheni is the Dida B'tachtoinim. And just like the Mishkan is the union of elevating the world to make it Kedusha, they took Zoh, V'chesav, and Achoshet, they turned it into Kedusha. Also Tefillah is to elevate the Yid to become Kodesh, to go up the ladder. And over there, Eliyav and a Chisamach got to go together. Eliyav and a Chisamach got to go together. Just like Achduzeh. Before the Tefillah, a Yid has to say, Areina Mekabel. And the same thing in his Avodas Hashem, he can't only take his intellect, it's to take his feelings, take his hands, and take his feet. And every part of the Yid, Kol Atzmois, Saitaymarna, the Eliyav and the Yid, and the Bitzalel of the Yid, all have to climb onto the ladder. And that's why the one time in the Pasha that says Bitzalel separately, we don't count that. That's not part of the Cheshbon. L'chaim. We should be Matzliach.
Mishkan. What's the Mishkan? Somebody give a loan to somebody. You're scared, maybe you're not going to pay me back. So what I do, I take a mashkan. The mashkan is not mine, I'm holding it. I have to give it back. What's the proof we're going to give it back? You have a witness. The witness saw the loan, and the witness.
That's why it says Eidus.
So the Rebbe says Mishkan and Mishkan, the two Beis Hamikdashos, it's a temporary. I'm the witness that I'm going to give it back with the two Beis Hamikdash.
It's nice.
L'chaim. We should bring the sicha into practice. We should bring this in everyday davening. And we should go with Eliyav and Achisamach, and we should go with Simcha. L'chaim.
Grandfather made this nigga.
Wow. No. This is
So he just revealed it? No. Because for many years Chabad did not sing it.
Yeah, I know. Later became popular. Snoop, Snachalabadikin again?
For Purim?
Yeah.
Be the one that sang by the birth.
Start it.
The real one.
Oh, Achashverosh, Vayivimei, Achashverosh, oh, Achashverosh, Amoy, Lechmeyoy, Domeat Kosh, Amoy, Lechmeyoy, Domeat Kosh, Shema, Mei, Yamedina, Shema, Mei, Yaslim, Mei, Yamedina, Yivimei, la 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 la.